President Obama painting an unorthodox picture of his post-presidency, insinuating to Donald Trump that he's not afraid to speak out against the president-elect in the name of the American people and American ideas. Here to discuss, Morgan Ortagus, Robin Biro, and Gina Loudon. Robin, I got to start with you. I find this fascinating in a sense that George Bush never did this to Barack Obama, even though Barack Obama threw George Bush under the bus for 7.5 years.
You know, Charles, I want to point out that President Obama, though, he appraised George W. Bush multiple times for his handling of the transition.
2 weeks.
Well, that's correct. I'll give you that. But they did work together, and I want to point out that the follow-up, President Obama did say that he's going to, maintain a traditional hands-off approach unless he sees anything that comes against the traditional American values and principles. That's the only time that President Obama, I believe, will come to speak out. That's what he said today. That's all the indication from President Obama.
Gina, who said that ex-President Barack Obama would be the moral arbiter of America and get to decide what should be spoken out against and what shouldn't?
Right, Charles? Who gets to decide now that President Obama is the one who should speak up if anything he doesn't like happens? But I guess President Bush and others, they didn't have that same right to be moral arbiter, as you put it. And that's what gets me. At first blush, honestly, I want to say, look, this is not exactly the most orthodox president we've ever had, and I don't think that someone hawks their First Amendment right when they leave the presidency. So that's at first blush what I want to say. But what we know of President Obama is that the times he chooses to speak up are very rarely for America to come together. It's usually to divide us along racial and gender lines. So I hope that's not the value he's talking about.
I guess, Morgan, listen, if he wanted to take on that role, I don't know that he had to announce it. Apparently, when Donald Trump was at the New York Times yesterday, he said that they've spoken twice since that meeting at the White House. It's been cordial. It feels like they're even developing something there that would be amazing, I think, for the American public. So why the saber rattling? Why the threats? I think that's what irritates people.
I also think that it's politically dumb. I mean, if you look at what's going to happen in 2018, the Democrats in the Senate have to defend a lot of seats that Trump won in 2016. So you've got sitting Democrat senators that are already talking about voting for some of Trump's nominees because they know that their state went red for Trump and they've got to defend a really tough Senate seat. So if they have to defend a tough Senate seat and they have President Obama coming out and sniping at President Trump's heels, I just think it's going to backfire politically, beyond the fact that, as Gina said, it's just not precedent, and it's not really respectful for a former president to do that and undermine the current president.
And Robin, we saw this play out in the election where Hillary Clinton decided that she would attack half of Donald Trump's voters as deplorables. And let me tell you, every time she attacked Donald Trump, those so-called deplorables took it personally. And so if the president comes out and he starts to diss Donald Trump's decisions based on the fact that the American public elevated him to this office, I agree with Morgan. It would be a dumb move. It would backfire mightily.
Charles, I agree with you on that point, but I want to point out, as the former guest just said a moment ago, that he will be just an American citizen at that point. He has his right to free speech, and he will uphold the tradition of all former presidents and cordially step aside and allow President-elect Trump the opportunity to govern as he sees fit. He's pointed out, I'm going to say it again, he pointed out that he'll only hop in to voice his concern if there's something drastic that comes against American values.
Gina, do you think people on the Republican side, if Donald Trump does or says things that some Republicans think go off the rails, are there going to be Republicans that will step up and say, hey, we don't agree?
This is where you have defined such a key difference, Charles, between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans will absolutely be the first to call President-elect Trump out if they believe he is not keeping campaign promises, acting within the platform. The list goes on. The Democrats, they don't tend to do that. They tend to circle the wagons, close their mouth, and even sometimes divert attention from whatever they believe their current office holder might be doing wrong. So I think that for Mr. Obama to, on the one hand, praise President-elect Trump, or I'm sorry, President Bush before him for not interfering, he should also probably follow suit with that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Guys, thank you very much.